Hello, YouTube. Welcome back to Game Analysis Part 27 of 31 of the Word Cup. Sorry if I look a bit different. I'm not wearing my headphones at the moment, but yeah, welcome in. Here I'm going to bring you game 27 of 31, like I already said. This game is against Kevin Fraley. So, if you're following closely enough, you might know that I am actually 15 and 11 at this point after going on quite the winning streak in the last five or so rounds, um, against mostly weaker opponents in the field. And suddenly, if I go 4-1, I'm certain to cash in the World Cup. So at this point, I'm actually feeling somewhat confident, somewhat hopeful that I will actually get a caching spot. But I'm faced with my second game of the tournament against Kevin Fraley, who is a very strong player, probably one of the top seven players in the field of the World Cup. And I'd already played him and I'd already beat him. So hopefully I was so I was hopeful that I could repeat the I guess I don't know show. I don't know what word I'm trying to say, but I was first in this game, and my opening rack was quite bizarre. A B B O P V Z. So often with this sort of rack, you just wonder like where do you even start? Um, and usually I try to think of plays that use the worst tiles. So the duplicate Bs are really bad, the Vs are really bad. If I don't see like a good play that gets rid of the V and the B, which there just isn't, I quickly like move on to see, okay, can I score some points? And I saw Zap, and Zap is 28 points. The leave is worth minus 14 or so. Terrible leave, but it's 28 points, and it's not the worst thing ever. So the thing that's closest, I think, would be just exchanging down to the Z, and I'll give it a little simulation there to see how close that is. But it's definitely better to just um, maybe not definitely better. Wow, I thought it would be definitely better to take the 28 points, but it actually seems quite close between that and keeping the Z. The reason being that next turn, pretty much no matter what Kevin does, I will not have any good options. If Kevin does nothing, I'll have Bob for 17 points, keeping a V, which is just not good. Probably like negative negative talent play. Um, and so yeah, it's pretty bad, but I thought it was clearly better to play Zap. It seems like it's slightly better according to the simulation, but I instantly regret this play because it gives Kevin the A to play 4-date for 63, and this is now the ninth time that my opponents have made a bingo on their first move of the game, which for you math people out there, like to give you a little bit of a little quiz there, knowing that the likelihood of opening with the bingo on your first rack is around 1 in 7, if you know all of the words, of course. How likely is it that after that in the 27th round, an opponent will have opened with the bingo 9 out of 27 times, or um, 1 out of 3, 1 out of 3 games? So yeah, a little quiz for you guys. I have no idea. I'm not a math person when it comes to probability. I'm good at arithmetic, and that's about it. So 4-date comes down, and yeah, I feel like okay, maybe I should have just exchanged, and this wouldn't have happened. So here I play Job. I can play Bobo. Uh, Anything else is just like pretty horrendous. This is a very interesting position. You don't get into positions like these very often where like some outlier play could very well be good here. Like for some reason, Vo could be somehow good in this position. It's just all about like trying to iterate through like the likely draws and what plays that'll give you and what plays you're giving your opponent. So yeah, possible something like Bobo, which just seems horrible to keep JUV and only score 21, might be better because if I draw an I get juvie through the to the E and 4 date, and I'm sure there are other draws that help me out in this position. So yeah, after a lot of agonizing, I ended up just taking the points once again with Job. But at the same time, it's very possible that that Bobo is the correct play. The extra B obviously isn't so good, and the BOUV leave is also horrendous. And with regular draws, it's true that I don't really see a play that I can likely draw with BOUV. If I draw an A or an E, I do get the underlap of Job, but with what exactly? So yeah, I just thought that if I played Job for 27, I'm down 8 points, and if Kevin doesn't have a high scoring play, like if he didn't draw an S or a D to hook plays on the board, that I should be okay and surviving this position. But yeah, Bobo's quite interesting. Uh, so I'm seeing Juvie. I mean, I guess if I draw an S, I get JUS um, for 39 points with zaps, but again, that's keeping a V. So yeah, that this sort of position, it's important to just try and think of like regular draws, like what happens when I draw an A or an E or an I or an O. Like those are the vowels, those are the likeliest tiles to draw, and try and figure out what your options might be next turn. So yeah, interesting position. Once again, so Job comes down, and lucky for me, Kevin really doesn't have anything good, and he plays Raya for 7. Or no, he plays. Hold on a sec. Did I do something really stupid? I did. I played Job for 23. Oh man. All that talk, and I didn't realize that I could have just moved this over 2 spots. That's completely horrible. Wow. Okay. I didn't play Job for 27. Let's compare the two, actually. Let's compare the two to see how much worse this is. Um, or better? Was I a genius? No, it couldn't be. This has to be better. What's my thought here? There's no way I thought this through. Did I determine that I needed to keep this other E open? What is going on here? Why is my play simming better? Okay, let's back up. 8 minutes into this video already. I hate that I forget what actually happened in these games. I now am sort of remembering what my thought process was here. And my thought process was opponent next turn score. And I thought that my placement of Job made it a lot harder for Kevin to score. Okay. That's possible. But there's no way this is better. It could make up for like a point or so. Yeah. I think I was trying too hard to stop him from doing anything. But I mean by leaving this R and this E open. Anywho, okay. I played Job for 23. Okay. Rage typing there. It's got to be better to play for 27. What was I thinking? Anywho, okay. Kevin plays Raya for 8. That's why. That's why I figured out that I screwed up. I need to look at the scores of my plays. 23 points instead of 27. Very weird. Okay, so Raya comes down. Very happy to see only 8 points from Kevin. Here I play Bovid, even though Vapid's a couple more points. Figured that the leave of PAV was so much better than the leave of BOV. Especially on this board where I immediately have like a lot of plays I can hit through the E. I have the A hook for Za, so something like that could come down. Yeah, it just seemed clearly better to keep APV instead of BOV. So okay, I think I got that one right. Next in line, Kevin plays bags for 29, and creates this right angle on the board with his small lead. It's now very hard to really open things any way. So yeah, he's holding on to his lead. Maybe he has another S, and luckily he gives me a spot for the Q I just drew. So here I considered playing Veep, and I considered playing Cat, and I considered playing this Cat, and I determined that I would just take 32. There was no guarantee that Kevin had another S, although it was quite likely. So it is possible that playing this Cat is a bit too dangerous. Although Kevin does already have the Raya's hook if he has another S. This makes plays with the S score a lot more, 8 points more at least, potentially. And yes, if he has a bingo at the S and 6 position, for example, that'll now play when it didn't before. So it's definitely possible that this was also a slight mistake. I mean, job was definitely a slight mistake. And yeah, something like Veep, I mean, at this point, after all of the racks I'd drawn, I'm sure I was slightly like tilted towards getting rid of my worst letters ASAP, and the Q is the worst letter on the rack. The V is next. So I was really thinking in that order, but by playing Veep, I do set up QAT Cat for 30 and Eft. So it is possible that this is also a good play. I mean, it is also a good play. It's definitely a good play, and it's simulating 3 points better than QAT, so that must be saying something. Yeah, but I played Cats. In hindsight, yeah, this just looks pretty horrible. Like with eye overlaps, just it's annoying to deal with. So I think in hindsight, I should have played Veep, just thinking that he probably had another S, especially given his play of Raya. And then Fag's like something's going on. He must have had like two S's with this play or something. If I just look at logically what he could have kept with Raya, and then like you're thinking with Raya, he's keeping maybe three vowels, two vowels, but then he plays Fags, which means he could be at max keeping three vowels, so he's probably keeping two vowels, and yeah, so he's probably had two S's. So I think I could reasonably infer that he had an S. So probably I should have played Veep. And here he bingos with Kaisers, but he plays it for. Wait, what did he do? Plays Kaisers for 76. There must have been another blank involved. Yeah, I think he bingoed with both blanks, and I don't remember what was. I think this was his play. Kaisers for 76. He has a couple more points for like something like Tarsier, but yeah, Kaisers looks pretty good. Okay. Yeah, I remember now. So he played this. No way to like. If he switches the S's, it's he's getting an extra point for the overlap, but not getting the extra 2 points for the double letter score. Anyways, okay, yeah, Kaisers comes down, and now he's up a bingo, and I have this rack, and I could play something like Eve, which is very, very aggressive, opening this triple for almost nothing. Or I could play something like Vape. Something like 8 looks really bad on this board. Beaver looks pretty awful. Yeah, what about these other plays? I could play Eve here. I could just play something like Rev. Yeah, so here I think I considered Varv and I considered Vape. And Vape sets up a lot of hooks, so it is kind of like giving a decent amount back to Kevin. But it leaves this L column open. EERV isn't a terrible leave, and I am somewhat likely to draw into a bingo after this. So, and if Kevin does manage to hook Vape with the D and go this way, I will have the V to hopefully score on the triple and maintain certain threats. So that was my thinking. What does Rev do that's so good? Our next turn, bingo percent is 15%. Yeah, nah. I think it's fine. I think it's fine to play Vape here. Give back a little bit more immediately to Kevin. So Vape comes down, and Kevin exchanges 6. So that's a breath of fresh air. And here I draw into this rack, so 3 constant draw. And I can play Veld, I could play Dev, I could play Velt. Those are the 3 plays I'm thinking of. I don't think there's any reason to play through this E now. And Veld looks more natural to keep ERT, which is a very good leave. Very versatile. A lot of things can happen. The problem is after Veld, there's not as much open on the board. There's this E to play down to, which sucks. This E to play from, this T to play from. Like all the bingo lanes kind of suck. And there aren't that many of them, and they're kind of hard to hit. So I decided to play Velt, take 2 extra points just to open another triple, which will force open a most of the time a bingo lane on the 14th row at some point. And even I could even draw into a bingo underlapping. So that was my thought process here. Again, lots of plays really close. Like pretty much every turn, there's many plays that are very close by to each other. But yeah, I was very torn between Veld and Velt. I didn't really consider Dev much, which has the benefit of not opening any play to this triple on the A column, but also just closes things long term, which I don't really want. So I play Velt, and Kevin plays Euro. So he's again struggling to score, which allows me to strike with Enlarge. And I could play something like General or Gleaner for a few more points, but I figured that opening up an S hook when I don't have an S in a position where I'm going up by a decent amount is potentially not the best idea, because if he does end up hitting the S hook, and again, he's been sort of grooming, he exchanged 6, so he probably kept like an E or an R or an N or an S. So after Euro, he's also balancing the rack, so I felt like it's true that Enlarge is giving back some bingo lanes that Gleaner in general aren't. There are just no floaters after these plays. I just felt like by playing this, I'm giving him the opportunity to bingo through these letters, but not for that much. Whereas after this, he's a lot likelier than average to have an O-column bingo. And so this might have been a little bit too reluctant. It might have been a little bit too paranoid. But after seeing the play of Raya and Fags and then Kaiser's, it's just like, okay, like Euro is clearly a rack balancing play, probably keeping something like an S. I really don't want to open an S hook here and potentially just get slammed. So that's why I played enlarge. So here I actually make an S inference, which I didn't really do with cat, I don't think. So enlarge comes down, and I mean, the math just might not work out because I'm just giving back too many immediate bingos. But Kevin plays Kagus, goes up 7 points, and this scenario is okay. It's not ideal. I was just hoping he wouldn't be able to like maximize the value of his S, and maybe he would have had a play on the O column that was just as high scoring or more. But yeah, seems like he's balancing still, and he's ahead by a little bit. So here, I draw this rack, kind of awkward stuff, but I get to play Ivy, get rid of the scoring spot, and score decently and keep not terribly. EIILR. I mean, it's not really going to score anything, but it's not death. Here, Kevin plays Owl, and he's ahead 6 points, and I draw into EIILNRU, and I hesitate for some time here because I'm just not sure if ruin-like is a word. So ruin-like, if it were a word, would play here and would be by far the best play, but I just didn't like it. I didn't think it was valid. I thought I was confusing it with something like maybe rune-like, and yeah, turns out rune-like is not a word. But it was very very annoying to have to think about it for a decent amount of time. But yeah, I was thinking of rune-like, which is valid. So in this position, without the bingo, all of my plays are just like pretty horrendous. I went with unlike because it seemed to score the most, and take out a little bit of stuff that could be bothersome. Um, like maybe he could have a bingo that would just end the game on the spot. And I figured that I'm not keeping an E, which kind of sucks, but I can hit this E on the F column if I do draw a bingo, a lucky bingo. And yeah, I'm just scoring as much as I can and just complicating the game as much as possible. So I felt most comfortable with this play. I mean, I wasn't very comfortable at all, but yeah, that's what I went with. And here, Kevin plays NEE. Where did he do this? NEE. Here. So he plays NEE for 9, making me regret my decision of playing my only E because I am just not going to draw another E here. And here I make a fatal mistake. Spoilers, but I decide here to play Whiz because I feel that by blocking this E, I'm containing the game pretty well, and I'm taking a decent lead on a very closed board. And I felt very good with my M in hand. I could play scoring plays next turn, like NOM or mono or something. So all of this is fine. The problem is I did not look hard enough for other plays. And I have emit here, which I saw, which is 24 points, but I missed the play of Emiton for 32. And now that I'm looking at the position, I also missed the play of ear now. And yeah, I just never saw that. But the problem is, I played Wiz and straight away saw that I had Emiton and was like, fuck, this is terrible. Like, such a huge mistake. Because being able to score in this spot so many points is huge here. And of course, it is leaving the possibility of not only plays to this E, but plays through this Z that can potentially score points, but it's just so much better. Yeah, fatal miss of 15J. And it's possible that Emiton is better than ear now. Because let me just finish this. Ear now and Emiton, seeing Emiton right after hitting my clock, and it sucks. It's such a it's such a bad thing for me to like spot plays right after hitting my clock. It just totally demoralizes me. But it's possible Emiton is better because not because it's keeping the W, but it's playing an eye off with a lot of eyes unseen. And if I draw another eye and he doesn't take this spot, I will have Wiz, which is a really nice play because I made it this turn. But this is just a huge miss. And it's a huge swing. It ends up being in Kevin's favor. So I play Wiz. He just plays OI for 8, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling pretty good. The problem is I'm not drawing any vowels. Um, so I draw all consonants and I play trop because yeah, the vowel pool is very it's pretty consonant heavy. It's like 14 to 7 or 13 to 7. And clearly he has a lot of vowels because he's just played OI for 6. And this has been like a really interesting theme this game. He's played so many vowels on all these turns. Um, so I felt like I needed to keep my one vowel and score a little bit. And I knew that I had combo possible that I could play that this turn or next turn. And the biggest thing on this board um, was who is going to draw the X, because the X was going to be able to score a decent amount. Anything like Rax or Rex or some overlap here, or even some 4-letter plays like calcs were possible. So the X was going to be very key here, and clearly he didn't have an X. So I did feel really good here. But then what I feared came true. And he set up the case S. So clearly, by playing this word gay, he has the last S, and I was not able to address that. So after something like Emiton, very likely I would be able to do something about this potential setup play, which was lingering in the position for a very long time. Um, and here I'm just in this terrible position because I just feel like I can't do anything about this. I could play something like this, or I could play something like this, just to try and block. But um, it does nothing really blocks perfectly. If I play Ion, I'm blocking perfectly, but I'm only going to be up um, 26 points with 8 in the bag, and I don't know. I felt like I could maybe get away with this, but it felt really bad to do something like this in this position and open myself up for very high scoring plays. Because look at all these scoring tiles. See both H's, the M, the X, which he didn't have with OI. So I felt still that I could draw the X and be okay. So I decided to go with combo and go up by 40 points and put Kevin in a tough position of, do I play with the S hook this turn, or do I wait and try to play for it next turn? So that was the decision I made. But based on his play of OI, it just didn't seem like he was keeping any great scoring tiles or a combination of scoring tiles with this play. Even though there were so many unseen, I felt like I could withstand a play this turn. So I play combo, and again, I'm also hoping that I maybe draw the X and I can score with it after combo, since he's now removed most of the X scoring spots. Very complicated game. But unfortunately, he either drew the X last turn or this turn, and combo ends up just destroying me because now the game is tied. He has the S, and I have no idea what to do. There's 5 in the bag, and there's just a million scoring plays and bingos that play with the S hook. And yeah, I just felt completely dead here. I had no idea how to even win this game. Maybe Quackle could find something, but Quackle's going to think I have a chance of drawing the S, so Quackle's not going to be very useful here. Clearly, I'm not going to draw the S. I decide to play Dato, leave one in the bag, and maybe open up some potential bingo stuff. I think I did see this, but this just doesn't seem to work. Because he'll just score um, somewhere, like he can still overlap with the S. And yeah, I think I saw this play, but it just didn't seem like it would work. But it does kind of block things. Maybe it's a better try. But yeah, I didn't know. Like I could play something like Ditto too, but that just empties the bag. Dino might be better than Dotto. Okay, whatever. But yeah, the game just felt over here, and I felt like I completely blew it. So, one in the bag, Kevin plays Slicer for 36. And I knew just anything he would do would win because I drew NUNN IT. I think I drew an H. Yeah, this was my rack. Nunneth. And I play Thio to block his his best HM spot. And he goes out with Ham and he wins 382 to 358. So thanks for bearing with me. Long video for one game, but this game was extremely interesting and complex. Sadly, it didn't go my way, but it could have. I mean, even though Kevin drew all four S's, both blanks, I definitely had really good shots to win this game if I was just more tactically sharp and um, was able to take the time to find uh, what I think would have been pretty much the killer blow of Emmeton or Ear Now in this spot. And I don't even know if I saw E Now. I probably did, but to make the jump from E Now to Ear Now is interesting. My brain has to be like tuned into that now, hopefully. So, anyways, hope you enjoyed. Extremely complicated game. Pretty much every position had tons of candidate plays for me. Um, and yeah, sadly, yeah, Kevin played really well to maximize the value of the last S and won the game. So um, pretty sad for me because I knew that I probably had to win all four to cash, and yeah, it wasn't going to be easy since I was doing decently again, 15 and 11. I was going to be paired with I think someone doing pretty well next turn, next round as well. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Hope you enjoyed, and let me know in the comments if there's anything you would have done differently because I'm sure there was, and I'm sure there's a lot of discussion we can have about this game and about the math of 9 out of 27 instead of 4 out of 27. So yeah, look forward to seeing your comments as always, and I'll see you next time.